Today's lesson is on the components of fitness. All performers need a good level of all 10 components of fitness, but different sports have different requirements. This means that one sport may need a much higher level of fitness in a specific component than in others. For example, a gymnast will focus on developing flexibility in order to execute movements well, whereas the discus thrower will focus on developing power to increase the distance they can throw. Can you think of any other sporting examples and relate them to any components of fitness you may have talked about or learnt in your lessons? 30 seconds just to discuss starts now. 10 seconds. Okay, so that's your 30 seconds up. So you may have talked about a footballer needing cardiovascular endurance to keep going for the 90 minutes running up and down the pitch. A basketball player or a netball player needing power in their legs in order to jump and rebound. You may have talked about a dancer needing flexibility as well as a gymnast to execute complex moves. So there's just a few examples. So cardiovascular endurance is also often referred to as aerobic power. Aerobic means with the use of oxygen. Okay, so cardiovascular endurance is the ability of the heart and lungs to supply oxygen to the working muscles. So a middle and long distance runner will need higher levels of cardiovascular endurance. They need to be able to work aerobically, so using oxygen, so they can keep going at a moderate intensity for a long period of time. So cardiovascular endurance is how long you can keep supplying oxygen to your working muscles before you get tired. All right. So when we want to measure cardiovascular endurance, we use the multi-stage fitness test. Some of you may know it as the bleep test, but it's called the multi-stage fitness test. So the objective of that test is to measure a person's cardiovascular endurance. You will need for that cones, a measuring tape, an audio recording of the bleeps, and something to play on, and an assistant. So the how you conduct this test, so the method of it is you set out a pair of markers or cones 20 meters apart. So you're always running 20-meter shuttles. The assistant should start the recording when you're ready to begin. Normally, it's your PE teacher. You run from one marker to the other before the next bleep on the recording. You must have one foot on or beyond the marker or cone at the end of each shuttle run. If you reach the marker before the bleep, you wait before you continue running. The time between bleeps gets shorter each minute, so you need to run faster to keep up with the bleep. So each level is 1 minute. As you reach the next level, the time between the bleeps gets shorter. So you have to run a little bit quicker to keep up with the bleeps. If you do not reach the marker before the bleep, your assistant should give you a warning. If you fail to reach the marker twice in a row, then the test is over and you should record the level you last completed properly. Okay. So here are some national averages for 14 to 16-year-old. Okay. So if you are 14 to 16, as some of you may not be, okay, and you get a level, say 7, and you run after you get past level 7, you run up and down the markers 3 times. So then you would get a level 7 and shuttle 3. So the L stands for level, S stands for how many shuttles you completed after that level. So if I was 14 and I got a level 7 and I did 3 shuttles, it would be a L7 S3, and that would put me in this bracket here if it was for a 14-year-old male. So this is how you can work out what score you get. Now, or what rating you get. Now there's some questions, so your teacher can pause the video, the recording, and give you whatever time you need, maybe about 6 or 7 minutes to complete these questions. Okay, moving on to muscular endurance. is the ability of a muscle or muscle groups to undergo repeated contractions, avoiding fatigue. Fatigue is a feeling of extreme or severe tiredness due to a buildup of lactic acid in the muscles working for long periods of time. Okay, so similar to cardiovascular endurance, but this is now how long your muscles can work for before they get tired. So endurance is how long you can work for. Muscular endurance is similar to dynamic strength. Performing on a pommel horse requires high level of muscular endurance in order for the gymnast to complete a routine without stopping due to fatigue. Cycling also needs high levels of muscular endurance because your legs would continuously keep moving in order for the bike to move. Also, rowing will require high levels of muscular endurance because you're using your arms and your legs at the same time. And if you have poor muscular endurance, the bike or the rowing machine or the boat will stop. Okay. So how do we measure it? We can do a 1 minute sit-up bleep test. So you test the endurance of the abdominal muscles. You need a mat, a video recording, and an assistant. You lie down on the exercise mat with your knees bent at right angles and your feet flat on the ground. You rest your hands on your thighs. You start the recording once you're ready, and you perform F-sits in time to the bleeps. The time between the bleeps gets shorter, just like the multi-stage fitness test. To perform a sit-up correctly, you must squeeze your abdominal muscles, push your lower back flat, and raise your upper body high enough for your hands to slide along your thighs. Okay, and you keep on doing this, and you keep continuing to do the sit-up bleep test. The test is over when you cannot go on any longer. So again, here, so if I was male and got 120, I would fall into the good category here. So now I'm going to move on to the questions. The teacher can pause this now, please, and answer these questions at the time you might need is between 5 and 8 minutes, depending on how you go. Okay. Okay, moving on to flexibility. This refers to the range of movement possible at a joint. Okay, so we know we've got the ball and socket joint in the shoulder and hips. We've got the hinge joints in our knees and our elbows. So the range of movement possible there. Okay, dancers require high levels of flexibility in order to twist their bodies into positions required by the routines they are performing. So how do we measure flexibility? A lot of you would have done this. Okay, we use the sit and reach test. So this measures the flexibility in our lower back and our hamstrings. Okay, so we need a box and a measuring tape or a sit and reach table. We have a sit and reach table at school, so that's what we have used. So you sit on the floor with your legs straight out in front of you, and our feet will always be on the box. You should not be wearing shoes. You place the measuring tape. We've got something like a ruler that we use, and we sit and we keep our legs straight and we push the ruler far forward as it can go. Okay. You reach gently towards your feet with your palms facing down. You reach as far as possible, taking care to avoid bouncing. You have 3 practice reaches. The 4th reach is held for at least 2 seconds. The distance your fingers touch on the measuring tape or sit and reach table will be your score, measured in centimeters. If you don't have it to your toes, then you will get a negative score, showing the distance you were from 0 centimeters. All right. So this is how we get the data, and this is how we see where we are according to national averages. So if I were a 14-year-old female and I got 13 centimeters, I would be in the above average bracket rating here. Okay. So I'm going to move on to the questions. You can pause the video now and go through these. About 5 to 10 minutes may be needed here. Okay, moving on to power. This is the product of strength and speed. So power equals strength and speed. You need to combine the two in order to create a powerful movement. Power is also referred to as explosive strength or anaerobic power. So anaerobic is without the use of oxygen. A high jumper needs high levels of power in order to get enough height to clear the bar. Power is also needed by lots of other sports performers. So, for example, a boxer would need power to use a knockout punch. A A goalkeeper might need power to do a goal, to perform a goal kick and kick the ball as far as they can to the other side of the pitch. A cricketer may need power to hit a six to get that ball over the boundary. So how do we measure power? It's called a vertical jump test. The objective of this is to measure power and explosive strength by measuring the height of a vertical jump. So how high you can jump. So power, this could be very good for rebounding, so in netball or basketball. So you need a wall, a measuring tape, chalk, and an assistant. In our sports hall, we've actually got something stuck against the wall, where we can use this. So the method: add chalk to your fingertips to help you record your standing reach height. So you stand first of all and just see how high you can reach, and then your jump height. So you then jump to touch to see what your jump height is. Keeping your feet flat on the ground, stand side to the wall and reach up as high as possible with the hand closest to the wall. The highest point reached is recorded by your assistant. This is your standing reach height. Then you stand away from the wall and jump as high as possible using both arms and legs to help you project your body upward. You touch the wall at the highest point of the jump, your assistant should record the height. You have 3 attempts, and the difference between your standing reach height and your jump height should be recorded in centimeters. So it says the difference between where you can reach standing and where you can reach jumping. So here's some national averages for 16 to 19-year-olds, which of course a lot of you won't fall into, but you can see here is the standing height, and you can see here the jumping height. So it's the difference between M1 and M2, so measurement 1 and measurement 2. Okay, and this is how we work out where we sit in accordance to the national averages. So this video can be paused now for these questions. So can we answer these now, please? You need, again, 5 to 10 minutes, and the teacher will decide when it's time to move on. Okay, moving on to speed. So this is the maximum rate at which an individual is able to perform a movement or cover a distance in a period of time, putting their body parts into action as quickly as possible. So certain positions, such as a winger in rugby, use their speed to score in the match. Okay, so again, a cricketer, maybe taking a quick single in between the wickets would use speed. A defender trying to catch the attacker going on to score in football would need speed. So we need speed in lots of different sporting situations. So we measure speed by doing a 30-meter sprint test. So the objective of this is to test your acceleration and maximum speed. So your acceleration and your maximum speed. So you need a measuring tape, stopwatch, cones, and assistant. So you set a distance out with cones, 30 meters. You start from a stationary position with 1 foot in front of the other and with 1 foot on or behind the starting line. Hold the position for 2 seconds before starting and do not rock backwards and forwards. You run as fast as you can to the finish line. Your assistant should time you. The timing starts from your first movement and finishes when your chest crosses the finish line. You have 2 attempts and the best time is recorded. So it's basically how fast you can run the 30 meters. So here's some data where we can compare national averages for 30-meter sprint test. So a male achieving 4.1 seconds would be above average. Okay. Here are your questions for speed. The video can be paused now. And again, you may need 5 to 10 minutes. And when you're ready, you will be moved on. Okay, your last part of your lesson is going to be a Kahoot quiz. So this link can now be clicked on, and it should take you to the Kahoot page, and you can have a go at the quiz. Remember that components of fitness are necessary for all sporting movements, all sporting situations. Some sports require a component of fitness, a particular component of fitness more than others. So, for example, a 100-meter sprinter would require reaction time in order to react to the gun to get off to a quick start, and then speed to get from point A, which would be the start, to point B, which would be the finish. So we have to understand that components of fitness are used in all sports, but some sports require more of one than another. Have a go at the quiz now, and hope you enjoyed that.